Most people spend years chasing what they think will make them happy. The problem is, they're often chasing the wrong thing. What if the reason that you're still not happy isn't because something is missing, but because you've misunderstood what you're actually looking for? Now, I know that might sound weird, so just bear with me. I want to know, have you ever noticed how easy it is to believe that the next thing will finally make you happy? The new job, the new relationship, the move to a new country, the money, the holiday, the house, the weight loss, the promotion, the fresh start. We've all done it. We all look at our lives and identify the thing that's currently bothering us, and then we quietly kind of make a deal with ourselves. If I can just get that sorted, then I'll be better. And sometimes we do get that thing, the relationship, the house, the career, freedom. And yet after a little while, something strange happens. You know what it is though, right? The happiness fades, the excitement settles, and then we find ourselves looking towards the next thing, the next goal, the next achievement, the next solution. And we start the cycle all over again. Now, before I go any further, I want to be clear. Sometimes external changes absolutely matter. Sometimes people should leave unhealthy relationships. Sometimes they should move cities and have a fresh start. Sometimes they should change career, and sometimes they should improve their finances. So this isn't about pretending that circumstances don't matter. Of course they do. We're humans and we're living out our lives through this physical realm. But what I've noticed after years of working with people is that often the thing they're chasing isn't actually the thing they really, really want. They're using the thing to try and create a feeling. For example, someone says, I need more money. Maybe they do. But what are they really hoping money will give them? Freedom? Security? Peace? Choice? Someone says, I need a relationship. Maybe they do. That would be nice. But what are they really hoping the relationship will give them? Love? Connection? Belonging? Significance? And someone else will say, I need to move to a new country, somewhere else. And perhaps what they're really seeking is adventure or a fresh energy, or to get away from the old and expand with some level of freedom. But the external thing is just the vehicle. The emotional experience is actually the destination they secretly want. And this is where people get stuck, because they spend years pursuing vehicles without understanding the destination. They think they want a thing, when what they really want is the feeling they believe the thing will provide. I want to give you another example. Imagine somebody says, if I could just move to New Zealand, I'd finally be happy. Maybe they would be happier, but here's the question I'd ask. What do you think New Zealand is going to give you emotionally, not just practically? Because once we know the answer, we can start getting somewhere. Maybe it's connection, maybe it's belonging, maybe it's peace, maybe it's family or freedom. And now we have a different conversation, because some of those experiences might be available long before the plane ticket to New Zealand. This is one of the biggest shifts I ever made in my own life. I stopped asking, what do I want? And I started asking, what experience am I hoping that that thing will give me? And those are very different questions. And I'd love you to try something. Grab a pen or simply just think about it. What's the thing you're currently convinced would improve your life? The thing you've been focused on, the thing you've been waiting for. Now ask yourself, if I got that tomorrow, what would it give me emotionally? Not practically, emotionally. What is the feeling? Would it give you freedom, peace, confidence? Maybe you'd feel like you belonged. Maybe it would give you the feeling of love or excitement, adventure, relief. Keep asking until you find the feeling underneath the goal, because that's where the gold is. And here's the interesting part, because once you identify that feeling, you can ask yourself a second question. How could I begin experiencing a small amount of that feeling now? Not in 5 years, not when everything is perfect, now. Because if the feeling you're seeking is freedom, maybe there are ways to create more freedom this week. Perhaps it's finally saying no to something you don't want to do anyway. Or perhaps it's taking a day off. Or perhaps it's spending an afternoon doing something purely because you enjoy it. And then if it's connection, maybe there are ways to create more connection this week. Perhaps it's picking up the phone instead of sending a text, reaching out to an old friend, joining a group, having a deeper conversation instead of surface level chitter-chatter, small talk. And if it's an adventure that you're seeking, maybe there are other ways you can create more adventure in your life this week. Perhaps exploring somewhere new in your own city, or taking a different route home, or trying something you've never done before, booking a class you've been putting off, or having a conversation you've been avoiding. And then if it's peace, maybe it's creating 20 minutes of stillness in your day, or going for a walk without your phone, or sitting in nature, or simply giving yourself permission to stop rushing for a moment. The point isn't that these things completely replace the bigger goals, I know that, but the point is that they help you to stop postponing your life until some future circumstances arrive. Because the moment you start creating more of the feeling you're seeking now, something shifts. You stop living entirely in the future and you start experiencing more of the life in the present. And this brings me to something you'll hear me talk about a lot on this channel, what I call the true self. I don't believe your true self is desperately waiting for life to be perfect before it can be expressed. I think your true self already knows what matters. It already knows what feels meaningful. It already knows what feels alive. The challenge is that we've often become so focused on chasing the external solutions that we've stopped listening to the deeper part of ourselves that are trying to guide us. So if there's one thing I would ask you to do or take from this video is this. The thing you're chasing may not be what you actually want. The feeling underneath it is what you really are after. And when you start understanding that, you stop living your life entirely in the future and you start bringing more of what matters into the present. And that changes everything. In the next video, I want to explore something equally important: why people can change jobs, relationships, cities, and circumstances and still find themselves facing the same problems. Because different circumstances don't always create different experiences. Sometimes the same pattern simply follows us wherever we go.